information. You may have to rewind because there's a lot of information in there. Starting with the big numbers, VPIP and PFR. Voluntarily put money into the pot and pre-flop raise. VPIP is any time that you haven't clicked fold. Pre-flop raise is any raise, 3-bet, 4-bet, 5-bet, and onwards. More importantly, the pop-up. The one I use most often, I like to look at people's flatting ranges. Are they just flatting the usual suited broadways, king, queen, or ace, jack in middle pairs? Or are they expanded? Green is like super rare instances. Red is the most common. Moving on to this top row. Some of these numbers like big blinds doesn't matter anymore since most sites do have big blinds. But we're going to move to the raise first in pop-up. And I mean, it's cool. You can see what hands people show up with. Because we have my whole database, there's all kinds of there's going to be some noise in there, but super useful if you want to determine if somebody's out of line from different positions. See if they show up with some garbage. Looking at this is the pop-up that I used to use a lot, and there's a lot of stack size stuff. So the one I like a lot is fold the 3-bet with less than 25 big blinds. Some people are just raise folding a ton with like 12 bigs, and you can just ship on them. Nice to look at the adjustments people make by stack size, what percent of their range they're shoving, raise first in percents by position, all good stuff. Very next thing across this row, the limp number itself doesn't mean much, but the limp pop-up I think is useful. Two big stats here: raise small blind, open limp, because population is not doing it enough, and limp fold. A lot of people are limp folding like 60+%. So you can start raising a lot. Both of these stats are really useful in determining your small blind play. Next row down, we've got aggression factor, which is bets and raises divided by calls. And I think just kind of useful when it comes to profiling the kind of player you're up against. Next number is 3-bet. We're going to look, this shows what hands they've shown up with when 3-betting, but I wanted to bring your attention to the fold pre-flop 3-bet with stack less than 30 big blinds. This 3-bet folding with shallow stacks. And then also, I think this 3-bet matrix is kind of cool because sometimes some people really like to, pick on EP, for instance. Although you have to be careful not to, draw too many conclusions on small sample. Moving on, the next stat's fold the 3-bet. And then there's this aggression percent number that I don't really use this number much, but the pop-up is beastly. There's all kinds of great turn and river information stuff. Also, the check raise pop-up is quite useful here. Look at this aggressive player. The final row, it's going to have C-bet stats. And so flop C-bet, fold to C-bet. This is fold big blind to steal, and then bet versus check. All these flop stats and pre-flop stats are going to be the most useful because it's MTTs. That's where the money, that's what matters in MTTs. Bringing up the pop-ups, we've got flop C-bet stats, and you can see that this aggregate flop C-bet stat is actually not that useful because I C-bet a lot more in position than out of position, right? And then we have 3-bet pots, and I want to draw your attention to this stat that's very, very useful. It's a win showdown after river bet. If you see somebody that has won 80% of 10 hands where they've been bet and been called, that's someone who's not bluffing very much, or they just have like the perfect reads, but really it's just someone who doesn't bluff. These other stats like one win soft flop and such are fairly useful as well. Next, fold 2 C-bet, single raise pots, and we also have by sizing, which is kind of cool. full big blind to steal, I use this one a lot. If I see someone over 50, I will target them across the table by looking at how they're playing their big blind overall. And then, yeah, this pop-up is just a bit more advanced for how we're playing different positions. And then the final one is how we're playing versus checks. This is a very, this is my 57% bet versus check, which is higher than GTO, but I think it performs quite well. The pop-ups tend to focus on how we play our checking range and how we play versus checks and showdowns. Hopefully you got some ideas and can get crushing even harder now that you know how to use this HUD more effectively. Feel free to hit me up in stream with questions. I'm out.